Have you ever looked at a robot or maybe a CGI character in a movie and just felt, I don't know, a little off, a little creeped out? Well, there's a name for that feeling. And today, we're going to dive into the brilliant 50-year-old theory that explains it all. It's such a weird sensation, isn't it? You see these characters in movies or video games that look almost perfectly real, but something's just not right. They're trying to be familiar, but they end up giving you this sense of unease, maybe even making your skin crawl. I mean, it seems like a no-brainer, right? We like human faces. We relate to human features. So if you're building a robot, you'd think making it look as human as possible is the way to go. That's how we'd connect with it. But then, way back in 1970, a robotics professor named Masahiro Mori just threw a huge wrench in that whole idea. He basically said, nope, it's not that simple. He argued that our relationship with things that look human isn't a straight line at all. It's a lot weirder. So, to explain this, Mori came up with this amazing metaphor, one that perfectly captures what happens to our feelings as something gets more and more human-like. Okay, so picture this. We're hiking up a mountain, and as we're climbing, we're making a robot look more and more human, and our positive feelings, our affinity for it, are going up and up. But just when you think you're going to reach the top, the peak of realism, bam, you don't hit a summit, you fall off a cliff into this deep, creepy valley. And this wasn't just some vague idea. Mori actually mapped it all out on a graph, giving us a visual for this bizarre emotional journey. So let's look at the graph. It starts out pretty simple. Along the bottom, you've got human likeness, from not at all to perfectly human. And on the side, you have affinity, which is just a fancy word for how much we like something. And at first, it's exactly what you'd expect. The more human it looks, the more we like it. The line goes steadily up. And Mori gives us some really great examples for this part of the climb. Think about an industrial robot arm in a factory. It's useful, but we don't really feel much for it. It's way down at the start of the graph. But a cute toy robot, with a face, 2 arms, 2 legs, it's not really human, but it's human-like. And that stylized, non-threatening look puts it way up high on that first happy peak. We find it charming. Okay, but this is where things get weird. This is where the journey takes a really dark turn. What happens when we try to push past that cute toy robot and get really, really close to looking human? Well, that's when we step right off the edge of the cliff. Mori brings up the perfect example, a prosthetic hand. At first glance, you might see one and think, wow, that looks so real. It has the wrinkles, the veins, the fingerprints. It should be at the absolute peak of our affinity. But then, you realize something is wrong. Just imagine reaching out to shake that hand. You're expecting warmth, a firm human grip, but instead, you get what Mori described as a limp, boneless grip that's cold. Ugh. That complete mismatch between what you expect and what you get, that's the feeling that sends you plummeting straight to the bottom of the Uncanny Valley. Our liking for it just evaporates. And if you thought that was creepy, just wait. Mori figured out something that makes the valley even deeper, even more terrifying. And that one simple thing is movement. I mean, think about it. A still prosthetic hand? Yeah, it's uncanny. But a prosthetic hand that starts moving all on its own, that's not just uncanny. That is straight up terrifying. Mori even tells a story about a woman who shook one in the dark and screamed. Movement just amplifies that eerie feeling 100 times over. So what Mori realized is that movement completely changes the shape of his graph. It just cranks up the volume on everything. The good parts get better, sure, the peaks of affinity get higher, but that valley of revulsion becomes this terrifyingly deep canyon. Our reactions become way more extreme. And he actually saw this in real life at the 1970 World Expo. There was this robot with 29 muscles in its face designed to perfectly copy a human smile. But the engineers realized that if the speed of that smile was just a tiny fraction off, it didn't look happy at all. It just looked creepy. That tiny imperfection in its movement was enough to send it tumbling right into the valley. So if trying for perfect human realism is so risky, what are designers supposed to do? Well, Mori didn't just point out the problem. He actually gave us a very elegant way out. His advice was kind of brilliant, really. He said, basically, don't even try to cross the valley. It's too dangerous. Instead, aim to stay safely on that first friendly peak. You do that by creating designs that are appealing because they're stylized, because they are clearly not trying to be perfectly human. And this is the perfect example. Look at the image on the left. That's the realistic prosthetic. It tries so hard to be human, but it fails, and it just leaves you feeling weird. Now look at the right, that beautiful wooden hand. It's obviously not real, it's not pretending, and because it's not pretending, we can just appreciate its form, its artistry, without any of that eerie feeling. Okay, so this all leads to a much bigger question, right? Why? Why do our brains even have this uncanny valley program running in the background? Well, Mori had a theory about that too, and it goes deep into our basic survival instincts. He suggested it's all about self-preservation. It's like this ancient alarm system built into our brains, screaming, "Warning! Something is not right here." It's the feeling that protects us from things that look human but aren't, like a corpse that could carry disease or maybe even a predator from another species. And then Mori makes this really powerful, kind of chilling connection. A healthy, living person, they're at the very top of that second peak, the highest point of affinity. But the moment a person dies, they become still and cold. They fall instantly from that peak to the absolute bottom of the uncanny valley. Our natural aversion to a corpse might just be the strongest example of this feeling there is. So, in the end, the uncanny valley isn't really about robots at all, is it? It's a mirror. It's a map of our own psychology. And by studying why we react the way we do to things that are almost human, we end up learning a whole lot about our own instincts, our fears, and what it really means to be one of us. And that leaves us with this huge question for the future. As our technology, our AI, and our CGI get more and more sophisticated, are we going to finally figure out how to build a bridge over that valley? Or is that uncanny feeling just a fundamental part of us, something we can never truly escape?